Looks like we had technical difficulties with the live broadcast, so we'll just pick up where we left off in non-live mode. So Tim, we know that this house once stood on the property of a famous horse jockey.
Yes.
Theo Dickinson and his brother, I believe his name is George.
That's correct.
How did it come to the park here in Adams?
The Thrasherman show took an interest in it. There's so few log cabins left in the area, and Theo was kind enough to allow us to move it up here. And for years he would come and sit on the porch when we had a thrashing show. And Theo lived to be about 90-something years old, but he was a descendant of the Johnstons, and he had ended up with the farm, come down through his family.
Yeah. All right. Well, heck, let's look around here.
Okay.
Let's take a look. We've got some. Looks like some pretty interesting posters up here on the wall.
We tried to summarize the story somewhat here, at least to show the cabin. And initially, of course, we didn't have a side porch, but the logs were really rotting on us, so we did. This is the way that side looked when it was back there in the field. And they took the porch off, and the chimney, they had to redo the chimney and put it here. It's a little different than the one that was there.
Yeah.
It was used right up until about 1965 or 6. As many as 8 and 10 people lived in it. That would be the mom and daddy and 5, 6, 7 kids.
Is there any significance to the number 7 up there above the door?
I've wondered about that. I know the horseshoe thing has something to do with good luck, and Theo wanted that there. And I don't really understand the 7, except, you know, 7's supposed to be a lucky number. And I don't remember why it's there. I'm sorry.
Now, I heard the Theo Dickinson guy, who's from right here in Adams.
Right.
I heard that he could beat everybody.
There was one horse that he couldn't beat, and it would make him so mad to talk about, a horse called Seabiscuit.
That's the only one he couldn't beat.
He never beat Seabiscuit, but he won 998 races in his career. He knew the stars of Hollywood, and he knew the starlets, and he knew the professional ball players. As a matter of fact, he used to catch for one of them that lived in Guthrie when he was small. But anyway, yes, Theo knew everybody, dated a lot of the Hollywood starlets at that time. Of course, he fell off a horse about 1938 or 9, was unable to race for 18 months, and then he got drafted into the military.
Interesting person, yet another celebrity.
Theo was very fascinating.
Interesting person who's had something to do with this house. Let's go on in here and see what we've got. Wow, look here. We've got the old stove,
Yes.
fireplace, table.
Fireplace was rebuilt, but I think they used some of the original stones. We believe, and I believe, that the Bells built this, and some of the Bells lived in it. Possibly Richard. Now, Richard became quite wealthy, and I found evidence of a house not far from this one, back there in the field, that looks like it was huge. And it had 2 chimneys, one on each end of the house. I think this probably become what we call a tent farmer house, at least in the later years it did. But we are not appreciative, I'm not, of the fact that they didn't have to have so much space like we do today. The floor is chestnut. The nails are square, predating the 1870s at the least. It could be a lot older than that. Of course, chestnuts have been gone.
Look at the nails and pattern, real old nails.
If you see a round-headed nail, that was put in modern time. But the old square-headed nail's been there a long time. I'm sure it was cold in the winter and warm in the summer. But it sheltered a lot of families.
You reckon John Bell watched TV a lot on that TV out there? Is that from the
I
Bell?
want that thing out of here. Some woman brought that, and I need to sling it over a bluff somewhere. This makes me angry.
I would do it for you. Next time I get in a bad mood, I'll be glad to.
I'll say it with you today. I told the lady that brought it I was going to get it out of here because it's just aggravation. We've got a picture of Theo and George, his brother, up there, and one of the race horses that Theo won with up over the fireplace. Theo lived in a house not much better than this. He was a multi-millionaire, and he drove new Cadillacs, but he lived in a house. He would nail a can lid over the mouse holes that would chew through. I've been there and watched him. He lived a very, well, I wouldn't call it a poor life. He lived the way he wanted to, but he never lived
Down to earth.
Down to
Plain
earth.
and down to earth.
But I went to see him one day, and there was a brand new Cadillac sitting next to the porch. And I said, Theo, where'd that new Cadillac come from? He said, well, the other one wouldn't start, and I just told him to bring me a new one. And that's what he did. He lived that side of it. But his personal life was very, very mild, or we'd call it almost poor, but it wasn't really poor. I have a picture of him over here. We have his saddle, and we have his silks, got his whip, and an unrealistic amount of wins, 998, enough to buy his mother and daddy 600 or 700 acres farm here in Adams, and then he was still lived pretty high on the hog. He was wounded in World War II, almost died, and never married. He lost his manhood in World War II. A fascinating dude, and he shouldn't have lived. In the Battle of the Bulge, they killed everybody in his company but him and one more man. They left him for dead. The Germans threw bodies on top of him. And he said, I lay there as if I were dead. And then finally the Americans came back through. Probably the cold weather kept him from bleeding out and dying. And he was shipped to London, and he stayed in the hospital for about 2 months. Finally one day the doctor walked in and said, this man's going to live. So they flew him back to the States. He stayed in the hospital in 1947, because he died in 2006.
Wow. Amazing, amazing history. What about the spinning wheel here? Speaking of history, how old is this?
These were the I don't know where exactly it came from. It may have come from Theo. The kids have been hard on it. This would have been used probably in the 1840s or 50s, maybe even earlier than that. They were still using them in the 1880s and 90s, but they weren't used much after 1900. They become a little more professional. And but it's pretty old. It's not necessarily associated with this cabin, though.
What about Bell Witch stuff? Do you know of anybody that's had any Bell Witch encounters in it?
Well, a lot of people claim to have had things happen to them. Lefford Reynolds' pal, Betsy Bell's youngest son, supposedly stayed in here when he came home on furlough from the Confederate Army. And he and one of his cousins had a supposed experience in here. I don't know if they heard noises, saw things, or what. And of course, you're aware of Henry Horn Suggs, the doctor, who was a neighbor. We know that Henry Horn was very active with the Bell family because I have doctor bills that he sent to John Jr. And that would have been about 1850, 51, because he died in 52.
Wow. Anybody since then, like in modern times?
Well, they still...
People come in here and get the creeps, I know.
Did you stay with Fleetwood Mac in here? Who was that?
2001.
We've had some other folks that supposedly tried to spend the night in here and couldn't make it. I don't know if you two made it or not that night, but...
We spent the night in 2001, and then I spent the night with another group in 2002. In fact, that 2002 deal, Emerson Meggs wanted me to speak at the Thresherman show.
Right.
He wanted to pay me. I said, I don't want your money, but if you could arrange it where I spend the night with some friends, we'll call it even.
Yeah.
And we did that. It was
fantastic.
Interesting little time. We had a guy get sick in here for no reason.
Yeah.
The thing was, the guy came in that night with us. None of us even knew who he was.
Right.
He sat down in a rocking chair, didn't say a word for like 6 or 7 hours.
Wow.
He fell asleep. Really young guy.
Yeah.
Looked like college age. And several of us were out on the back porch telling stories. All of a sudden we hear a popping sound in here where this guy flew up out of the chair. He flew out the back door right where we were and just vomited all over that back area and all over us. Then he turns around, goes straight out here, out the front door, jumps in a little bitty Volkswagen, and heads off at a high rate of speed.
Never saw him
again, don't know who he was.
There's so many strange things that happen and happened to him. Of course, everything's blamed on the Bell Witch, but this cabin, a lot of people are afraid of it. They wouldn't spend much time in here, but I've come to enjoy it. It's a noisy thing. Sometimes it makes noises and squeaks and creaks, but you can blame that on whatever you want to. But we're glad to have it here. It's not in its original location, of course, but it's still on the Bell farm, and so we're glad it's here, and it makes for a good draw for a museum.
Well, great. Well, Tim, thanks a lot. I appreciate you giving me all this good information and everything, and for all our friends out there on internet land. So I hope you all have learned a little bit more about the Bell cabin here in Adams. If you come up here, make sure you give it a look and you look up Tim and ask him all your great questions. I guarantee you he can answer them. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.